I'm standing on the roof garden of Veenu Shah, a pioneer enameler in India. This film is about her as an artist, but also her as a person and what she has meant to me in life. She's a remarkable lady, has been working with enamel for 50 years and is today still mentoring both artists as well as people from the community. Her interests are very wide. She believes in an organic way of life in everything she does. She brings that element of being natural and organic and growing from the soil into her life.
We used to keep going back to that old house in Sitaram Bazaar.
वहाँ पे क्योंकि सारे ताऊ चाचा उनके सारे बच्चे वहीं पले थे.
ऐसा लगता था जैसे कायस्थों का गढ़ है वो.
इतना बड़ा वहाँ पे आंगन था और फिर सब बैठ के खाते थे.
So what are your earliest memories of childhood, Veenu ji?
जो पहली मेमोरीज मेरे को याद आती हैं कि riots. I could hear the sounds. डैडी जो थे वो इंचार्ज थे दिल्ली के. तो कहाँ रहते थे ये नहीं पता, गायब रहते थे. 36-40 घंटे तक घर नहीं आते थे. लेकिन बस यही आवाज़ें आती थी बार बार कि कत्ल हो गया, कत्ल हो गया. और आज मैं याद कर रही हूँ कुछ 70 साल बाद. He got hold of all his friends, they mobilized his friends, women, men. पुराना किला में जाके उन्होंने mass graves dig करी. ट्रक भर भर के मिसेस नेहरू, अंकल बलबीर, किन सब जाते थे वहाँ पे. There was curfew in the whole of Delhi. So he was the only man who used to report to Sardar Patel and was all over town trying to appease the people there. But we could resonate with him. It was just such a traumatic experience. And then 30th January, गांधी जी की डेथ. तो मुझे अभी तक फ्यूनरल पायर की याद है और हम लोग कैसे वैष्णव रन घर में गा रहे थे. And I think the impact that his death and the riots had on us are indelible.
This is a photograph from those days. Look. And how come Pandit Nehru is in this photograph? You went to visit him or what?
We were a part of a small happy club we had made.
Oh.
And if you please, I was the secretary and Leela was the president. And we would collect a princely sum of 300 rupees, 400, 250 rupees for the Prime Minister's Relief Fund.
Oh dear.
And I would ring up the Prime Minister's office to say that Happy Hours Club wants a meeting with Jawaharlal Nehru. और वो हमें दफ्तर में अपने बुला लेते थे and meet us. So I can't tell you the amount of love and affection he used to give us. We used to go around pottering around in his office. He would come, he said, "You want a photograph with me?" Okay. And then he would position us. So I took this photograph, leaving one of the girls out, and she's never forgiven me even till today. So those were the good old days.
It's a historical
when
picture.
you could walk into
Yeah.
anyone's home, anyone's office.
And here's whose monocle are you wearing here?
Oh, I used to be very fond of wearing glasses and monocles and doing all kinds of crazy things.
So all these things and this ambiance of growing up in a very, very vibrant and difficult time left a very strong value, I think, in the family. Simplicity se rehna.
बिल्कुल.
And to be really clued on to your national identity.
Absolutely.
Rather than,
Absolutely.
I mean, caste is not a word that we ever heard in the house.
हमने न जात न रिलीजन किसी चीज़ का नाम ही नहीं सुना था. घर में फादर ने फारसी सीखी थी, हिंदी नहीं सीखी थी.
His first language was Urdu.
उर्दू, फारसी, और सब हमारे एक दूसरे के साथ फूफा वगैरह से सबसे आदाब से बात करते थे. कभी सोचा ही नहीं था. सब एक हमारी नज़र में, और अभी तक शुक्र है ये हमारी किस्मत है, हम कहाँ पैदा हुए। ये पेड़ मेरे माता पिता ने लगाए थे 40 साल पहले, अशोका के। और जब देखो रोज़ सुबह मैं इनको देख के कहती हूँ कि हाँ ये मेरे पिता और माँ बाप ने ये लगाया है, ये घर उन्होंने बनाया है, ये हमारी जहन है। तो उन्होंने जो बीज डाला है, मैं ये चाहती हूँ कि तुम उसका फ़ायदा उठाओ सब लोग। इसको हम और तोरी के फूल जो है उसका बहुत सुंदर बनता है। हम उसको फ्राई करते हैं और इतना सुंदर लगता है देखने में। हमारे राकेश जो हैं ये एक्सपर्ट हैं, हमारे मुंह से निकलता है और वो बना देते हैं उसको। अब ये है लाल साग। तो लाल साग एक तो बहुत हेल्दी होता है और खाने में भी बड़ा स्वादिष्ट होता है।
Veenu ji, it's wonderful what you've done in the roof garden. It seems like you're growing quite a lot of vegetables. How do you do this? Do you do it every season? And
I've been doing it now for nearly 10 years now, and I try and understand everything. My whole thing is about recycling. So I recycle all my kitchen waste,
अच्छा,
make it in compost, and try and learn about organic growth. और ये जो अरबी के पत्ते खा रहे हैं, ये यहीं उगे हुए हैं।
अच्छा, ये अरबी के पत्ते के बने। And what is this lovely red drink? It's kind of sweet and sour.
ये hibiscus
Hibiscus?
flowers. Hibiscus flowers. They're growing here. So you just take the hibiscus flowers and you put them in very hot water. And after that, you squeeze a lemon and see, it's like a Campari.
Beautiful color.
It's a lovely color and it's very healthy.
Very nice.
So just keep on playing around, really. Just keep on playing around.
It adds such a wonderful dimension to your life, no? In an urban garden, actually. It's very lovely. Do you spend a lot of time up here?
I come here in the mornings. I do a lot of my pranayam here, some exercises. And then in the evening, I usually come and I read here, which is just so beautiful.
This is a lovely picture of Daddy.
Yes, yes. One of the very rare occasions where he has expressed his emotion towards his children.
Yeah, he was such a cerebral man.
Yes. Daddy had gone as the first ambassador to the European Common Market.
That's right, yeah.
And you had gone with the family and you joined school there. So after I completed my BA, I ventured into an absolutely new world of great beauty, sophistication. One incident I remember, that you were fluent in French at that time.
By that time I had...
And I was very poor in French. And I wanted to speak to people and she would say, don't talk to anyone because you speak such bad French. And from a distance she'd be saying, stop, don't say that. And she would hide her face and as if that she doesn't know me.
Well, don't forget, I was just getting into my teens.
Yeah, but
and
it didn't
I
bother
was
me at all.
so embarrassed. Yeah.
It didn't bother me at all. Father gave me the option of going anywhere, Oxford, Cambridge, whatever, but I had no ambitions. And being brought up so frugally, I thought the little money that he saved himself, he probably would like to send my brothers to school and university. So I went to Abbaye de la Cambre and I did 1 year in an arts college. And that really sort of opened up the technicalities of the art world. We've grown up watching my mother paint. She would take an easel, get into the car, go into the forest, and come back with a beautiful painting. Absolutely fantastic. ठुमक चलत रामचंद्र बाजत पैजनिया ठुमक चलत रामचंद्र केलक केलक उठत धाम खाए मात गोद लेत दशरथ की रनिया ठुमक ठुमक चलत रामचंद्र. This is Monsieur Bizou, who was my escort for the Bal de Debutante.
How lovely you look here.
Paris. The French in Paris used to have this great coming of age for young women so that they would be able to meet young fellow suitors. And this was organized by the royalty in France. So I was persuaded to go and attend it. And
I remember the excitement because the dress code was white.
Yes.
And you had to wear a white sari. And of course, there was a tiara. And I thought it was like Cinderella coming alive.
It was. It was really like that. And this dashing young gentleman who was my escort, oh my God, I still remember him, from the Ribot family. And I had, for my hairdressing, I went to someone called Alexandre. He was one of the best in France. And he'd never seen such long hair in his life. So he took 7 hours to make my hair.
And all he did was a
7 hours to make my hair. We were presented, we danced, and we went to the Eiffel Tower and came down at breakfast. It was like magique. It was magique for me, and I loved every minute of it. Then I met my ex-husband, second secretary of the embassy, and we decided to get married, and got married in 1965. And being a diplomat, I traveled the world over. But what I saw of my father, I emulated. His style of talking, his negotiation, his sense of humor.
I think you're a lot like Daddy.
First posting for me after marriage was Washington, where I went to a community center, and there I was taught basic enameling. And it was such a wonderful experience for me that it's 60 years since then. I've never looked at anything else.
You know, the first time I saw your pieces of enamel, I couldn't figure out. I said, "Ye hai kya?"
Enamel work is what is called Meenakari in India.
Oh, that beautiful jewelry.
That's right. It is ground glass, British ground glass, which is ground and put on a noble metal, which could be silver, gold or copper, and you fuse it in about 800 degrees. That's what enamel is all about.
So enamel actually provided you a window to the real people,
Yes,
the real society of every country that you were in.
But that was the great thing about this art. Because as a diplomat's wife, who are you going to meet? You're going to meet only the so-called crème de la crème, who had nothing to offer but to go from one cocktail to the other.
That's true.
And to wear one dress after the other. So I did all that. I enjoyed meeting them. But my real strength came from the local people I met. Coming back to Iran, Sates were the ambassador. He was the ambassador. I worked at home and I had my first ever exhibition in her house in 1972. And then it was Japan that opened my eyes to the real world of dedication, hard work, and cloisonné.
So a different technique, you're talking about the technical development in Japan.
And then in 1978, I had my first exhibition in India at Triveni. That's when Gauri Khosla helped me. She was my mentor for that exhibition, and I can never forget her gratitude. One of my best friends. And for me, what was very important is that my central point of a search within me was always there. So no matter what I made or painted, it was always that central point, that bindu, that concept of Buddhism, that always kept coming to me.
Nature, in its intense aesthetic beauty, almost became like a metaphor for spirituality for you.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it definitely did. And till today, when we were in New York, that was a time when I took many, many workshops. There were many craft schools. Went from one to the other, went to Kent, where Elizabeth Durrell, who was a British enameler, was the instructor. And she actually became my mentor for enameling. And my growth in my technique, myself, my style developed under her. And I followed her everywhere. But have Elizabeth's attention, and she did everything. I did everything, but I was not getting what I wanted. I just wanted...
But you were searching continuously.
Yes, and search has to continue.
Yeah.
Search has to continue. And I think also you know what you're searching. My search was not for intellectual input or to learn the scriptures. My search was for connection somewhere. Then I went to Auroville. Mother's simple words and Aurobindo's philosophy are really something that paved my way for what I was looking, and then I found it in Vipassana. Vipassana completely changed my life. My acceptance of myself as I am, to have respect for myself, to love myself, and through that, my empathy, my compassion has multiplied 1,000 times. My love for a drop on a nasturtium leaf that looks like a pearl, or a sound of a bird, or the sermons of Goenkaji and his bhajans, find an exhilaration in me which is so wonderful. No jealousy, no ambition, appreciating everyone, taking a full interest in anyone you meet, and reaching out to anyone who needs anything.
So even though I've known you all my life, today was a revelation, because there are so many nuggets of your memory which spilled out.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't relived my past. Actually, I never looked back. So I must thank you for this interaction. And not that we don't know enough of each other, but now you know much more than we ever did before.
Thank you.
So we should continue to grow together, sister.
Sisterhood.
Yes.
Oh, this is beautiful. I just love the way you've used these mobiles and in the middle of, you know, all this lovely greenery.
This is where I live, with all the greenery in the world.
Yes.
And as you can see, that I was very affected by works of Kolda.
Right, right,
So
yes,
Kolda
yes.
was really my inspiration. In the mid-90s, I had a big exhibition in Gallery Espace. And the calligraphist is a very dear friend of mine, Shashi Shetya. And he sent me about 500 images of the beautiful because it was the first sound of in Aramaic that resonated in the written world. And I have always been fascinated by the concept of chols and barrios in Latin America. So I just wanted to emulate them, have a three-dimensional effect by having all these windows and doors and giving the effect of the choice.
Veenuji, these are fairly recent, I think, because I remember seeing them at Triveni, I think, you put up that show a couple of years ago. But these are so dramatic because they have so much texture and so much color, and at the same time there's this feel of the copper coming through, as well as you really know that this is enamel, this really shows through in this medium.
My dear Jyoti,
Yes.
you are the person who inspired me to do this. It's
Really
your
kind.
feeling of freedom and abandon and experimenting which made me actually go up and become daring.
Collection of bowls. Some of them were done quite recently with Sarah Perkins, I think.
Yes, we
At
had a workshop
Sanskriti.
with her Sanskriti.
That's right.
For me, this is the best way of relaxing.
That's
When
right.
I'm feeling a little low, I go into the studio,
Yes.
start the kiln, and just make a few bowls, and then my spirits are lifted. For me, it has been really a lifesaver, especially during the time of COVID. I think in the sunset years of my life, it's very important for me to recap and see what difference has the enamelist society has made in the field of art, craft, jewelry in India. The object of the society, which was registered in 1999, was to expose a young Indian mind to the international techniques of enameling in different parts of the world, which were completely different and on another scale of those existing in the country, to fire the mind of the young people to do something different and exciting.
Veenuji, I really want to talk to you a little bit about all the different experiences you've had while working with different kinds of artists or students. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these memorable ones that you had?
But we did a workshop at the NGMA in Mumbai.
I see.
This is when we had the international exhibition. We had these 40 students who were so animated by the whole thing that at the end of the workshop they wouldn't leave. My whole intention every time I did a workshop was that I'm trying to build up someone under me.
Right.
But it was never that I will go back and give it. It was how to hand over responsibility and let them take it on. People who are still connected with me and are working, it's not only about teaching them. While you're teaching, you talk to them about the work, you tell them the technique only up to a point. They have to grow themselves.
Yes.
Everyone has to find their own path. You teach them a little bit about that, you give them all the facility to work with, total freedom. Don't discourage, always keep on encouraging. With the wonderful publicity and the great response we got after the exhibition, there was really no looking back for us. And all doors were open for us. The HHEC wanted to collaborate, other institutes wanted to collaborate with us. And between Vivek Das, who was a professor in JJ School of Arts, Kana, a student of Shantiniketan, and me, we gave workshops almost all over the country.
What is it that you found that you needed to express in your work that concerned the social situation, apart from the inner spiritual sort of quest that you always had?
To be very honest, I don't think any of my work represents the political situation.
Right.
I was never one of those who would make it a point to have an exhibition based on the political situation. For me, it was all personal. And if my angst came out and my anger came out, it came out in my own words, never to make a statement. So it is about myself.
Correct.
Totally understated.
Right.
I never explained what I did. People could come to an exhibition and take out whatever meaning they wanted and go away from there.
When did you feel that this could now become your kind of main focus, your life's work, if you like?
You know, as I told you earlier, that my whole focus about representing India or being a wife or a mother of two beautiful daughters, and was really, as I mentioned earlier, that I never actually thought about myself or becoming anything or had any kind of ambitions. And for me the main thing was that how do I make inroads into a world that lives for itself, speaks for itself through art. I felt really blessed and thought, how many Indians can have a chance of meeting with such great artists and learning so many different techniques? And what am I going to do with the wealth of work I've learned? I need to share it. And I need to share it not only with those who are willing to pay for it, but more than that, go to the grassroots levels and share it with those who would have never had the chance to do this. So I started getting in touch with the craftsmen. Then there used to be one Kudrat Singh Ji in Jaipur, who was the doyen of the enamel world in Jaipur. I got hold of him. And I must say he was extremely responsive. He came down to Delhi, he met me, I went to him. Then I wrote to Elizabeth, Dr. O.P. Jain, who gave me the space in Sanskriti. And we had an all-India workshop where enamelers, especially Das, he was a very good enameler, they all came down. And we had a workshop for 10 days. Then Elizabeth was the one who said that, you know, it is time, it's right for you. Why don't you think of starting an enameler society? Awareness of enameling kept growing, and we were very lucky at that time that the Jindals gave us a beautiful large-scale enamel studio in Vasant with a huge kiln which we used for many, many years. Then we reached a stage where we thought that we should be exhibiting together. And we started doing joint exhibitions and had about 15 exhibitions in the last 20 years. And our last exhibition was held at Bikaner House in 2019 to celebrate the 20 years of the Enameler Society. I think enameling has a bigger attraction. And the reason is that it's instantaneous. You can leave it outside, you can repair it.
Yes.
Once you get an audience and people, then it picks up. And I'm 100% sure that all the studio enamelers today, which is a totally new concept for India, and I'm so glad it's taken on, that they are the ones who in the future are going to popularize enamel and bring it to where it should be. So I think the seeds have been sown, and I'm sure that the younger generation, all those artists who are running the studios, will keep growing, prosper, और enamel और अपना नाम रोशन करेंगे.
In this present situation, for instance, of COVID, you know, how has this, what does this bring to you as an artist and as a spiritual seeker perhaps, and what are the other things that you are concerned to do now?
You see, immediately after COVID, when you started feeling a little down and you didn't know what to do, the weather was also quite good at that time. I came and worked in the studio. But after having made a few pieces, I said, what am I doing making all these things? What use are they going to be? So I just thought, what's my mission in life now? What do I want to do? So I was told by some of my Vipassana teachers that you continue to live only as long as you're useful. So I remembered that. And I said, how do I make myself useful? So I'd done this before. I started teaching again. I started teaching children at home. I teach them English regularly for an hour and a half every day.
Right.
And then I have a very nice young boy, Rakesh, who has worked with me now for the last, I think, 25, 28, 29 years. And I have been wanting to make an entrepreneur out of him, and he's always resisted it. So I said, chalo, ab pakad gaya. I said, you make breads, you make them well. People are not getting good breads these days because of lockdown. So why don't we start making breads? And when we started making good breads, I taught that to Rakesh also. And the idea was income supplementation. It's been 3 months since we started. And he has regular orders, and he's making about 20 breads a week.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And he has a future, because I always tell him that I have to go one day. So I'm preparing you for the time when I'm gone. Discipline is very important.
Right.
It's like I took this up 60 years ago, and I still continue to do it.
Yes.
And I still continue to learn.
Right.
Every day I'm looking at a different photograph to see how else can I change my work or my technique.
Correct.
So-
And some of this has come into your children as well, I'm sure, in some way or the other, in their lives.
You know, my
Which is-
daughters are absolutely lovely and beautiful, successful, great mothers, great professionals in every sense of the word. They have given me every possible encouragement. I could not have asked for better children, better sons-in-laws, or better grandchildren. I have been blessed. But I always say that, and I really seriously mean it, that they have become what they are despite me. Always. And I mean it. You must be learning. You must have something new all the time. Until the day you die, you should not stop growing.
That's right. Yes.
The day you think you know all, you finish. And this is nothing. This means nothing. It's only a body. It will disintegrate. And I'm very heavily into Kabir these days,
Yes.
who just says कि आप ये सोच लीजिए कि सबका एक दिन आएगा और आप पैदा हुए हैं, आपको मरना तो है ही. So you look death in the face and you say, I'm ready. Whenever my time comes,
Yes.
I should just be taken like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Grateful.
पुतली पलंग बिछाए पलकों की चिक डाल के हरि को दिया रिझाए आटी कहे कुम्हार को तू क्यों रांधे मोहे हर एक दिन ऐसा आएगा मैं रांधूंगी तो है नैनन की कर कोठड़ी पुतली पलंग बिछाए पलकों की चिक डाल के हरि को दिया